well, this isn't really working out too well for us. We're sacrificing a ban every single game, and we don't get a lot of value from it. But we have seen on Cursed Hollow in particular, them moving back to Abathur ban, since the map, of course, caters even more so towards the hero. Now, we've talked a bit about Tricked. This is the 4th time they play here. But also Method has only played a single time on Cursed Hollow in 2018 in HGC Europe. And that was a victory for them. So they played with a global. They had Dehaka at the time. And an aggressive setup with Dehaka, Nuburak, Illidan, and Cassia. So like really melee heavy, really trying to play around those dives in the team fight, especially with the Illidan factor, of course. But this is going to be interesting just because we haven't really seen too many games of these teams on the map. But I would still expect, as you said, Trick banning Abathur. That would not shock me in the slightest.
It's crazy how much Cursed Hollow has kind of fallen off as a battleground that we've gone to all the time. It used to be a favorite, gosh, a year ago. But I feel like a lot of these heroes that have come in and given a lot of boss control over has made it a little bit difficult to play. You have Hanzo coming in there with the Scatter Arrow builds. You have Bunker that can help you control the fight a little bit better in tempo. So a lot of our teams have kind of shied away from the battleground, which is interesting to see.
Yeah, in the past, before we had HGC, when there was still tournament systems, there were various ones. And because the map pool back then was also slightly smaller than we have now, there were certain rules where you could choose a map again if you hadn't chosen it before. So you could legitimately have a best of 3 series with 3 times Cursed Hollow. Once chosen by the admins and then once from each team. So Cursed Hollow was the standard map in Europe. Here's the Abathur ban, as expected. But it has fallen off heavily for the reasons that we pointed out. It's just like that macro aspect that teams are shying away from more so in 2018 than it was the case in 2017 when we've seen these heavily focused drafts around Dehaka and around Falstad.
Heavily focused drafts also equal Maiev lately, as Maiev continues to be popular amongst our teams. It's trying to make her own comeback here. And we'll see how Method intends to play her here, if they're going to continue to go for more dive-centric type of compositions. When we maybe get ETC stolen away, ETC's been a great follow-up for the Maiev. If you're trying to force fights, Trick Esport on their side will be looking to pick up their own heroes. And typically we expect to see that Hanzo, and here I'd actually prefer the Hanzo a little bit more than the Phoenix, just because of the scouting ability and also the ability to engage in corridors. But they did pick up Phoenix in game number 1, which is a surprise to us.
I mean, it's just simply the fact that you have that boss rush that is amazing. And also the amount of camps on the map is just leading itself to Hanzo. But as you said, in the last game, they said, okay, Phoenix is the better option here for us. But you have definitely to respect the boss plays on this map. So that was why in the past, Tyrael is oftentimes chosen. And it's also a reason why Hanzo is now chosen over Phoenix here. So again, the ability to sneak those fast bosses, again driving the situation of the fight also with the Nuburak, eliminating it from Method as an opportunity. But this is still one of those maps where I immediately come back to, are we going to see Tyrael? Is there going to be some sanctification play? Because Tyrael has fallen off quite a lot in Europe, whereas when you're looking towards Korea, Tyrael is once again starting to just like climb in priority.
And it seems like EU has caught the bug. A Nuburak continuing to be high in priority. And we can still have that Tyrael later for either of these teams, by the way. And Nuburak is pretty solid in double warrior tanks if you want to go for it. And you can get that sanctification to help follow up on the full dive that you want to and get that number advantage. But a Nuburak just helping with 2 things. 1, pretty decent against dive coming your way. If you hold on your impales and your burrow charge, you can chase afterwards. But 2, for full-on aggression. If you have a coordinated team of 5 and you get the number advantage with Cocoon, you can kill off a target. And we're going to see if Trick Esports is going to be able to pull that off here with the ability to move into a Dragon's Arrow and then have the Nuburak follow up. It's pretty deadly.
Yeah, Method is also, again, it's going to be super interesting here. We've been asking, okay, what's going to be the support in game number 1 as they drafted Maiev? And back then, they decided in favor of Karazim over Stukov, as Malfurion was already taken away. But now we have Malfurion, so you can try and get that Twilight Dream in. Mirrodin even taken here very early on.
Yeah.
So again, melee heavy at the start, leaving the range damage open for the later parts of the draft. But already a Stormbolt into a potential lockup, Maiev with a tether. So there's already a lot of CC on their end that they can use whenever they get the drop onto a target.
So bans here. What are we thinking? Damage? Important here for Trick Esport. Do they want to take out maybe Phoenix here? Junkrat? Those are the options I jumped to right away.
I think Junkrat would be one of the heroes that I might be worried about a little bit more, simply because we have in this setup, again, more displacement than already before. When you look at Junkrat 4 Method, we have 5 wins, 3 losses on their hand. That's pretty decent. But they are more so worried about Shrimpy's Tracer. And I mean, for good reason. Tracer has a very good track record for them too, 8 wins, 4 losses. We have seen a lot of Shrimpy plays on Tracer, where Method drafted Tracer insanely early just to get that Shrimpy factor into the game. Not quite so in the last 2 weeks, I'd say. But it's still something that you have to at least respect, especially when you're playing with Hanzo.
I was wondering about Tracer actually for esport. With them banning that, it looks like they maybe want to grab Genji here, so Method needs to think about that now for themselves. Okay, well, Genji's still up and available. Do we want to allow Make to have Genji? Especially with them having the dive they want to go here? I don't think you really want to give that up.
Yeah, I would agree.
But Medivh is still here?
Medivh is another factor, I would say. But Genji is definitely one of those things that could really have the impact now with Market playing him. And Crosby has, of course, shown his Hanzo play too. It was actually tricked on the last map that banned out Genji, so they got rid of him. But Blaze. All right, making sure that Alex doesn't get Blaze. The thing is, they haven't really played a lot of Blaze in a long time.
Just want to make sure when they do go in, they can't be stopped.
Tricked, I mean, some of these bans are... from a meta perspective, Blaze makes a lot of sense. At the same time, Trick doesn't really show a lot of Blaze anymore. They played him insanely often at the beginning. It was actually Alex that showed everyone, hey, Blaze is amazing. Because when Blaze got introduced, everybody was like, I'm not quite sure if Blaze is really doing anything for us. And then it was Alex, and then shortly after, Whoopi, who played Blaze. But especially Trick put a lot of Blaze games into the game. But then they have 16 games played with Blaze, but they lost 10 of them. So that's one of the reasons why we don't see as many Blaze games from them anymore in comparison to the past, because they're oftentimes not really finding the kills. In this case, it would really help them around boss control, but I still think that Alex would also be absolutely happy to play Leoric again, to go into Thrall play. So I could have seen them instead to ban out Genji, as we were talking about, and now that they haven't done that, Genji is immediately being picked by Trick Esports.
I'm still expecting material now, especially with a Genji and the Uther coming in there.
Yeah.
Lots of pause buttons, lots of save buttons, good around the boss. I feel like that'd be a perfect roundup for esport.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, Tyrael would also be another great spot here for them. And we've been talking also a bit about Alex playing the hero quite a bit. I mean, he was the one who made the Judgment combo that they were trying to work. So in this case, even you could go for a Judgment setup with Hanzo that you have, with Nubarak, and with also like Genji here. There's definitely a bit of lower potential. Also, since Malfurion doesn't have the proper cleanse. He still has it in an HSQ on level 7.
Yeah.
But still. Normally, of course, when you talk about Cursed Hollow, you want to have Sanctification. It's all about that boss control. But long story short, we definitely have potential here for Tyrael.
Well, the Blaze ban makes more sense now, with Li Ming coming in and Sonya as well. A lot of upfront damage coming in, Merlin to lock down a target, and Li Ming to go for combos and get those resets. Looking to see Schwimpy on Li Ming. It's been a while for him.
It's another reason why you could play around Tyrael, just getting the extra shields in, so that would help you too. But it's a roaming Zul again. Haven't seen him in a while.
Roaming Zul. Maiev can dodge out on it. It's hard to get to Malfurion. Sonya doesn't care too much about it. We'll see if it can work here. For Alex.
We had roaming Zul once.
Kind of doubting it here.
4 for them, and they lost that game. The only team that was so far successful with Zul is Method. Method had 1 victory with him, but yeah, Alec, roaming Zul, in case that you haven't really followed Heroes of the Storm in 2017 too much, was brought into play. Zul at some point was completely ignored and nobody played it. And then Alex at some point said like, hey, with Zul we can actually make a lot happen. We just roam with him the entire time and we go kill hunting instead of just trying to wave clear, and that worked extremely well for them. And so they started to pick up a couple of wins, became bad for a few weeks, and then he started to drop off now in 2018 again. But every now and then, Alex still wants to make it happen, and that gives them control in fights. So
to give him credit here, Skeletal Mages is pretty good against Sonya, making it hard for her to get on the target she wants. Also great against Li Ming because her skill shots actually get eaten up by the Wizards because they bring out a decent amount of health. So there is some stuff here that Zul can make work out. It's just kind of down whether or not they can actually find kills with Bone Prison here. Being able to lock down a Sonya who has Wrath, Li Ming can teleport away before the Bone Prison even hits, Malfurion who shouldn't be in a position to get picked off, is going to be a bit difficult.
Yeah. Also, we have Li Ming now with Disintegrate as a potential burn tool for Cocoons, trying to burn that down pretty quickly, that we've seen for a long time. So that brings the hero, but that brings Li Ming also back, now that we see a Nubarak a lot more often. So another advantage of having a Li Ming in your setup.
So we're getting right here for game number 2, and we'll see exactly how it's going to pay off for our teams. It looks like we have a bit of a second before we're moving in, and I'm kind of curious. Method has a pretty strong composition here for actually finding kills and engaging where they want to, but boss control I feel like is pretty strong for Trick Esports. I mean, You walking in with a Hanzo and a Nubarak, you have Cocoon here, and you have Make on Genji. We'll see if they can control them here as we head into game number 2. Trocled Esports is up 1-0 over Method. Method is looking to tie it up before we head to a commercial break.
Straight into game number 2. Or not.
Or not.
Yeah?
Denied. Completely there.
I'm actually not sure why, because the game's running.
Whoa, we're going back in here. Tracer used recall, looks like.
Yeah, something happened. Okay, so the game is starting up and to the left side. We're currently seeing the boys here. Tricked with Crosby on Hanzo, Rema on Genji. We have Goran Paquete on Uther, Alex the Frog on Zul, and Make on Nubarak.
On the right side in the red, Method. Shwimpy playing Sonya, Curson on Malfurion, Arcaner on Muradin, Thero on Maiev, and Nick actually playing Li Ming, not Shwimpy.
Okay, so I think what happened here, because there was a lot of talk happening a bit earlier, and I think one of the things that happened is that they misclicked their heroes. We have Mako on Nubarak and Remabola on Genji, and I'm not so sure that that is actually intentional. So there was a lot of chat going on as they were waiting to start the game, and I think that was because they were asking for a restart because they screwed up their heroes. And now we're having Make on a Nubarak and Remabola on Genji, which is an interesting setup to say the least for them. So
that's what the pause was for. Okay.
I think so, yeah. I'm actually surprised that we didn't get a remake, but rules are rules.
We will now see Make on a Nubarak, see how that pans off for the team. Wonder how much experience he has in the Beetle. It's not quite a Genji.
I mean, apparently he has him on level 5, so that's at least something.
Yeah, progress.
And to be fair, for custom games, doesn't matter.
I'm now staring at this Nubarak.
Me too. I'm just like, I just imagine the entire time when Make hits another level, he's like, Rema, what do I pick? What's the talent? If they win this.
The ultimate form of getting tricked.
This is just typically tricked.
Yeah.
This is just so tricked right now. I mean, okay. Let's see how this is going to work out. I guess I'm probably more curious how Remabola is going to do on Genji than how Nubarak plays here. With the Nubarak, a lot of it is going to be decision-making, and I think for Make that might be even a slight advantage, considering that he is the one who usually makes their calls these days. So he can, at least from a shot-calling perspective, coordinate his engages a little bit better.
I mean, look at the possibilities here. We could have the birth of a new Genji main.
Yeah, or a new frontliner.
Yeah.
Next season we come back and it's just Make on tanks the entire time. It's just like, boys, I got this. Tried it once, worked well, so yeah, let's continue that story. But outside of that, already a bit of aggression here against Arcaner. Alex is, of course, holding his bot lane here quite easily. And I mean, when we talk about Zul, let's go into the talents quickly. We have Backlash taken as the level 1 talent, and now the Jailers on level 4. So getting the quest in as well.
Looking to push out these lanes. Already in the middle lane, a little bit of pressure, but it's actually a trap set up for Oxyprogy. He drops the Bound Prison on Arcaner to make sure that he has to stay backwards. Also dropping in the Bone Armor just to stay alive. And a 3-main gank. 3 people can't take out Alex the God. He walks away easily.
Yeah. I mean, that was a pretty easy gank to survive here, at least. So yeah, he didn't get completely dropped.
We're painting storylines here, Calvin.
Okay, my bad, sorry.
He walks away.
Alex is a living god
unfazed
amongst man. He is the one. He is the one you can gank, the ungankable.
Explosions behind him. He doesn't care. As Trocled Esports continues with the roaming Zul. Look at the top lane. Maiev has to go over there and start clearing that out. Because that turret is already taking damage, and meanwhile, Trocled Esports will take the time.
Alex's story is a movie in the making. We've seen the Indestructibles, we've seen the Untouchables, now we're talking about the Ungankable.
That's a good one there. Starring Bruce Willis, Oxyprogy's sidekick, just a little cameo. I'd watch that.
Yeah, sounds like an amazing one.
He's got a haircut too, he looked great for it.
Yeah. The thing is, though, right now, Alex still has to prove that point. I mean, he's currently busy at the top lane while we have that 4 versus 4 down here. But that tribute is getting delayed heavily by both teams. There's, of course, a lot of interrupts available. Rema already going deep on his newfound love. Genji is starting to put the pressure in. Arcaner needs to be careful. Grand Paquete gets interrupted by Curson, hitting the Moonfire here. But Method is on the run, as Sonya has peeled towards the top to try and gank Zul. But they haven't learned their lesson yet. You cannot gank Alex. It's not possible. So Alex survives, is still closing in on both lanes, gets the experience, and the rest of the team secures the tribute.
And Sonya might be in trouble here. Make going in for the shot call, trying to find Shwimpy. decides that he's backed up enough, so they'll put a little bit of damage on top of this turret, using those beetles to tank the damage. As Grandpa Kit will anchor and make sure no one's coming in for a flank. Trick Esports so far holding on. Ethereal gets engaged upon. Gonna drop down the Bone Prison, but thanks to the vault, Hero's just fine.
Yeah, Alex doing Alex things. And I mean, as much as we're memeing this, that was actually a really good escape by Alex because we were focused on the fight at the bot lane, naturally, for the tribute. But with Sonya peeling top, there was an attempt from Maiev and Sonya to take down Alex, and Alex just played it safe. And once he realized that one hero peeled off the tribute fight at the bot lane, he just took the safe path. And him surviving was really important because if Zul dies, that's lane experience that you lose out on 2 lanes.
Make should be able to get out here. He still has the Burrow charge available. But definitely a lesson that you can learn if you are a split pusher is that you can take safe routes. It's okay if you're double soaking and you miss a wave or a minion or 2. You don't want to miss a wave, but missing a minion or 2 is fine if you're taking the safe route. You cannot get picked off because if your opponent is putting a 2-man resource into soaking the middle lane and the top lane and trying to gank you, that leaves your team in a 3v4 and you get benefits out of it.
Oh, talking about kills, Gambakette is about to fall here.
Can
they get a counter kill? That's the big question right now. Alex is already being attacked here, tethered back in. And they drop him as well. The ungankable final down, but we have Malfurion falling as the counter kill. Marke barely moving out here.
He was low on health. Rimmer able to use that Genji and secure the takedown on Malfurion. And Trick Esport can look to poke here a little bit, but have to be careful because the middle lane is being pushed in. They decide to go ahead and focus on clearing that out. Ethereal goes in for another tether, but Mach is able to get out thanks to the Burrow charge giving him unstoppable.
Yeah, that's where Method currently just really starts to push the envelope in the mid lane. They already know that they have an advantage here, and with only Crosby and Grandpa Cat trying to push that back, there's just absolutely not enough firepower to stop this in time. So the wall falls, that's level 10 in the hands of Method. Hands taken here as expected is integrate, of course, against the Cocoon that we expect from Trick to come on the side of Anubarak. And Alex, in the meantime, is back to PvE duty.
PvEing it up here with Scatter about to finish up for Crosby. He is 4 ticks away. Not going to be a boss call at any point if someone does fall victim on Method's side. Method, while they hit their 10, had the Warden's Cage. Just still looking at Malfurion and seeing what exactly he wants to pick up at level 10.
You know, you talked about the boss, and that's actually something that Method also double-checked because they move with Muradin over to the boss area the entire time. You're just double-checking that nobody goes straight for a boss call, simply because you have Hanzo there. So Method is playing this safe around the options that Trick has and just make sure that the scouting is always there.
And Nubrak walking into a bush here. Arcana has already set up. Nice little poke there. Make playing the tank role well. Able to drop down the Impale and make sure that he doesn't get caught out. This allows him and his team to move up and work on this tribute. Trick Esports has gotten the middle lane pushed in, with Zul already helping out with a couple of skeletons. They actually have 2 lanes pushing in, so Trick wants to take this fight and not get picked off.
Ethereal, oh, nice arrow. It's done into arrow here immediately. And here comes the Divine Shield and the attempt to get the Dragon Blade into action. So far, not working out, but already Alex dropping his own skeletal mages here as they're going in again. Arcana is low, and so is Shrimpy. Both of them have to be careful here as the stun comes in. And the Dwarf is in trouble, but able to jump out here as we see Trick Esports in a decent position around the tribute. Heavy pressure through camps in the mid and top lane for them as well. The longer this fight lasts, the better for the blue team.
That's right. Already hopping on those forts. The Giants killing out those minions too. Bit of a scatter arrow coming in and try and get Kirsten off of this tribute, but does not connect with him. So Method is able to grab the tribute and goes up 2-3. Solid fight from both of our teams there. Method have really good control, making sure to keep Malfurion alive. We also had Rimmer on the Genji, again, still allowed to say, trying to zone out Malfurion as much as he could to make sure that Method could not fully commit to the fight.
Oh, Stormbolt missing here against Grandpa Keta. That could have put him into trouble, but the boss call has been made. And at the top lane, they can't just simply go for their own boss. They have to defend. Shrimpy is still making the play here, but the Siege Giants at the top lane are starting to heavily pressure their top lane forward. That's starting to become really tricky for Method. Trick Esports is looking strong. The tribute is spawning at the bot lane. Their own boss is already moving through. They're breaking through the wall, as Method is still busy with the boss up here at the top. And we have nearly seen the top 4 destroyed as well. The Siege Giants are finally taken away, but Method is getting value here, and they're going to go for the keep.
Trick moving in here. Should be able to clear out that wave pretty quickly. Helps them get towards that level 13. The fort in the top right is saved, and Method's going to have that counter push of the boss, as you mentioned. With the tribute spawning too, Trick Esports goes up to 2-3, as Genji's going to go ahead and start channeling at the same time. So we got a game on our hands. Next tribute is going to be Curse.
Yeah, and right now, this wall is going to be attacked heavily, of course, by the boss, so the defense needs to be there, but that opens up space in the mid lane, where we have Trick dropping another fort. So that quick boss call that we saw from them worked out in their favor. The tribute location, of course, also a huge advantage, but now they can move to the top, claim the last one. And that was just heads-up play. Tricked is looking strong. They have the level 13 talent, slight lead and slight experience advantage. Things are looking good.
The appeal of summon heroes. Beetles and also skeletons coming in there allowed for them to take out that 4. They didn't even have the minion wave with it. And they jump up heavily in experience. 13.5, while Method hits 13 themselves. With the Mercamp pushing in the middle, Trick have to be worried about that, but this is going to be the team fight for Curse here, as Boss is taking some damage to the top left and might get some damage on that turret, but it should get cleaned up before we grab this tribute.
Yeah, and actually Genji is taking the top fort. The reason is they want to have the experience advantage. If you are that one level ahead, that's a slight stat advantage, and that can make all the difference in these fights. So they're making the play for it. Rema got it, and now they can focus on the fight here. And this is actually an opportunity to maybe put Method even farther. If Method loses this one and gets cursed, they are in a world of pain.
Make dodged out in the Storm Bolt. Out comes an orb from Nick, but Make is able to go in for the engage at any point here. Cocoon goes out, hits Li Ming. Dragon Blade popped. Rimmer on the side here. It still have the Divine Shield too if he needs it. There it is. He gets the damage, and Athero falls.
Athero is down, and it's not going to be the last one. The fight continues, and this time it's Genji who's actually dying here. The Divine Shield was over, and the resets are coming in for Nick, and he is using them. Make barely moving out of this. Grand Paquette is still on the run. He's most likely going to fall here next, trying to heal himself, but the stun hits home, and he goes down. As Trocled Esports loses 2. They get the initial kill, but with Maiev down, the curse is still in the hands of Method, and they're starting to move in. They're starting to drop the structures here, and this is where Trocled is going to lose a lot of structures, a lot of experience, and finally also the control of the game.
A really quick play there from Schwimpy. Method losing Athero as mentioned in the fight, but the moment Divine Shield went down, Schwimpy turned around, dropped down the spear, and they blew up Genji before he had a chance to even move out. And speaking of blowing up, another target falls, and Nubarak is disintegrated.
Yeah, Mako and Nubarak just a bit too far out there, not where he wants to be. Remaballer still looking for the opportunities, but at this point there's still a curse, of course, raging heavily against Trick. And the aura, the spell aura that we are seeing on the side of the Night Camp is still active. The resistance is there, and they can just easily use that to move through the middle, drop the keep. Zul had to rotate to the top to defend keep number 2, and things are starting to look grim for Trocled Esports as they are a level behind, and Method is about to take that level 16 talents.
Trick should be able to jump up in experience here, especially in that bottom lane. There's 2 to 3 waves already popped up, so that'll be 16 for them. They need to make sure they don't get caught out. Rimmer comes in and checks the bush before Arcanist jumps on him and drops down that Storm Bolt. And Nubarak, meanwhile, on the bottom lane is getting 16. So Trick has survived, but they've definitely lost a keep. They have Catapult pushing in the middle lane, and that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, this is just... this is rough, but I mean, the thing is, Trick is still okay when it comes to experience. It's the keep in the mid lane that you've lost that's probably your biggest problem. But once you pick up the level 16 talents, you can still fight on even footing. But it's definitely a bit of an annoying situation for Trick. But it was a tribute fight for Curse, so at that point you just know that if you lose too many heroes here, you're going to be in trouble. But the 16 talents are also giving Trick a really big power spike here, not only around the Bone Spear, but we have also the Benediction now taken. So there's definitely tools that they now have to try and take this around, but they need kills in these team fights. And so far, Method has just looked better in every single fight that we've seen.
I mean, their team fight, it's technically better, right? I mean, you have the front line between Sonya and Murden that's completely robust. It's hard to delete them. You have to do it while you have the Cocoon out, and so far, Trocled Esports was able to do it once, but the immediate answer back from Method was pivotal for them being able to grab that tribute. The good news for Trocled Esports, though, if they can win that team fight, their next tribute is going to be Curse, and that's where they can make the heads roll of Method.
Yeah, so this is definitely one of the advantages that Trocled has. They still have a curse available for themselves. And they're also having the race potential around bosses, so they're trying to use that, but Method is already sniffing that out. And they are trying to make sure that that doesn't happen. They're all in the area. Trocled knows that, and they can't simply go for that boss play. Question is, but you're absolutely correct. If you at any point take that boss fight, you can turn the game around within seconds. But for that to happen, you need to make sure that nobody dies down here.
Now, Giants are pushing the top lane for Trick, so they prefer to have this fight down here. But if it comes out into a Dragon's Arrow, there's a Skeletal Mages as well. Ethereal on the front line is trying to do his best to peel out his teammate. Cleanse comes out just in time for Alex Approach to escape, but is he going to be able to get out?
Once Cage is there, Remaballer trying to Swift Strike out. That didn't work, and he is dead. So at this point, we have Method just starting to chase them here. Grand Paquette is once again on the run, and he goes down, and that's of course the immediate call to go for boss as Method takes down 2. Boss is going to fall here. Very little Trick can do about that. Have no chance to respond, and this should be a second keep at the bot lane. And with the tribute now spawning, there's also no way for Trick to confirm that curse.
At least Hanzo having that scatter arrow should be able to help clear this up, but if this keep goes down, Method can make the play to go straight for the core, and they're thinking about it here. As they step up, they have 8 seconds before we have Genji on the field. Now, Divine Shield I don't think was completely used in that last fight, so we should have that Dragon Blade combo available, so Method needs to be aware of that and play careful.
And I am going to venture a bit of a prognosis that in the future we're not going to see a whole lot of Genji being played by Remabola and Maka on the Inuburak. It's just a hunch that I have when I look at this. But once again, Remabola just jumping out as he is the target, but the arrow of Hanzo that we see fired for a Crosby in the back does not hit anything. Now the keep is down, and that boss is still on half HP as Method is looking to see if they can maybe close out the game.
They're trying to. Maka goes in, drops down the cocoon on Li Ming, but immediately cleaned up. At the same time, Curson with the Tranquility, trying to keep his teammates alive. Divine Shield pops out. Curson is healing like crazy. Schwimpy is so low. Genji wants to kill, but he can't quite get it. The next target needs to be that boss, though, because it's on core.
Yeah, Remabola on the way back, and the core is already starting to fall in shields, and they're moving in again. They want Alex. The tether is there, and they get it, and that's the end of the roaming Zul. As the core goes down to 80% already. Method, they want the tie, and it looks very much as if they are going to get it here. Grand Paquete is tethered in, and he's going to be the next victim. The catapults are already locked in on home, and that's going to be game. Method with the tie. They win on Cursed Hollow, and that is a 1-1 score as we are finishing out game number 2.
Gotta get your swaps in. Method able to get a big victory. Their execution pretty nice there. Also realizing, okay, my opponent has used the Dragon's Arrow. I'm going in and I'm going to force a fight. They had a composition that could do it, and the little things were just enough to allow Method to push towards their victory.
So when we're looking at the setup here, again, with Maka being on Inuburak and Rema on Genji, pretty sure that wasn't intentional. So that didn't work out too well. Remabola couldn't confirm a kill, therefore he doesn't get any of the resets. He's of course a priority target here for the opponent too, since they know that he's going to be a bit less experienced than Maka is on that hero. And therefore 11 kills against 2 at the end of the day, and a tie in the series.
Unfortunate for Rimmer, too, having to play Genji into Maya. That is a really hard matchup, especially like in the Warden's Cage. There are moments where you try to move forward and try to Swift Strike out, but you have to pop the Warden's Cage first, and then you Swift Strike, bounce back a couple of times. Little things like that, man, just kind of stacking up and making it a little bit too hard for him to play the character.
I mean, if you are not... Again, you are not the Genji player, so those are interactions that you don't encounter every single game, every single time. So you just don't know that. So in that case, you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess I'm dead now, boys. I'm sorry. Like,
I mean, it's a match. Those happens, man. So we'll have to make sure when going to game number 3 that our swaps come in perfectly, and we don't have our players on certain heroes that they are not experienced on fully. Let's go ahead and get ready for game number 3. We'll be right back after this commercial break, and we'll check out to see where we're going.